Off for the camera real quick. I saw that. It's huge.
Yeah,
That's nice.
so this is from the junior hockey team last year. So this is the Cyclone Taylor Cup.
The reason why he played till he was 45 is because he was getting 3 massages a day, right? Whether it was game day or not.
Since October 2020, I have done almost 850 days in a row of 30 minutes or more of exercise. I know who you are. Really? Yeah, I follow you on Instagram. Coaches should coach, parents should parents, players should play, administrators should administrate, and you should probably have someone making medical decisions.
Hey everyone, welcome to another episode of Live from Langley BC. Today, have a guest who has some pretty interesting stories to tell, and I'm excited to get into it. We have Dr. Mark from Rebound Clinics. He's a physiotherapist.
I'm actually a sports chiropractor.
Sports chiropractor. Okay, so even better, because this is right up my alley, right? I'm always getting hurt in sports, just coming off an injury recently myself. So I'm excited to ask him some questions about this and hopefully give you guys some value in case you have any of these questions yourself, having kids in sports or playing sports yourself. So thanks so much, Dr. Mark, for joining us today. First of all, for anybody who doesn't know you, right, can you tell them something a little bit about yourself?
Absolutely. So first of all, thank you for having me here, Dan. It's been it's a pleasure to meet you. So myself, I have been a chiropractor for almost 15 years. I graduated from the Canadian Memorial Chiropractic College in Toronto. Moved back here to back to BC in 2009. I was living in Victoria. Started a family in Victoria, and I grew up here in South Surrey near White Rock, and we wanted to be closer to family, so my wife and I moved with the kids over here and started practicing here in Surrey, Langley in 2014, and started my own clinic in 2017, and it sort of exploded from there because we were affiliated with football and hockey, and we've sort of grown from there. So my background is sports. My passion is sports. I love being involved in sports. I'm involved in lots of sports stuff in the community here, so it's sort of my networking group.
That's awesome. It reminds me of me because, like we were talking, I've played every sport probably, and I'm good at it naturally, so it's fun, and I always connect with these different groups, and that's why I know so many people in Langley now.
Yeah.
So were you played, I guess you said football, hockey?
Yeah, so I grew up in South Surrey. My parents still have the same farm that I grew up on.
That's awesome.
And I grew up playing everything. Sort of basketball was my passion, but being a 5'10", 150-pound frame doesn't lead to a long career in basketball. But I played baseball and football and hockey and tennis and golf and pretty much everything. Actually, funny, soccer is probably one of the worst sports, one of my worst sports. I never really went anywhere with soccer. I could kick a ball, but I could run after a ball, but that was about it. But yeah, I've always had a passion for sports, and I played lots of sports all through university and through post degree, and still playing. I play basketball Thursday nights. I run out a gym, an NBA-sized court on Thursday nights, and I have 15 guys come play with me, and still playing hockey on Mondays. Nice. And then I was actually just skating with the junior team, the junior hockey team I work with. I was skating with them last night, trying to keep up with the 20-year-olds. So.
Is that like Langley Event Center? You rent out that basketball court?
No, there's a facility that I'm affiliated with, or the clinic helps out. It's called Panthers Hoops. It's up in North Langley, right behind the movie theater. It's actually right near the clinic, and it's convenient for me because Thursday nights when I stop work, I finish work about 8:30. I rent out the facility at about 9 o'clock, and I have 15 buddies. I'm not as competitive as I used to be. I'm 45 now, so I just want to do it for fitness.
I want to look like you when I'm 45, to be honest. That's my goal.
I appreciate it. It's the things that keep me young, but it's keeping fit, having fun, and that's sort of I rent out this facility. It's good for the organization. It's good for me. I help out all of their prep players, and it's part of business. So so I play Thursday nights and hockey on Mondays, and then I got a bunch of stuff that I do in between that
still sports related.
Still sports related.
That sounds like, for me, like I was telling you, it sounds like that's the direction I was gonna head if I didn't go into business with sports related. In the kinesiology in some way, because it's like it never gets old. I'm still playing as much as possible, and obviously it ends up me getting hurt, and the wife's like, hey, like, why are you still playing sports? And I'm like, I need to.
Yeah, honestly, Dan, it brings up a huge thing, because I'm an advocate for fitness and for overall health. I mean, we are surrounded by technology that makes things easy and convenient. It's going back to the old school roots of being able to run, jump, throw, And that's what sports is, right? It's just a way to keep people fit. It's a way to keep people going. So I'm a huge advocate for trying to keep people playing, keep people doing things other than sitting on their devices and watching TV, being more active, because that's what being part of being healthy is all about. It's mental health, it's physical health. It encompasses a lot of things.
Mm-hmm. Well, I'm gonna have to play this part back to her, hopefully a couple times, so she can see it's not just me saying that, because I've said things like that. I mean, and from the outside looking in, somebody who's not particular, playing too often, they wouldn't see that side of things, right? But hey, I wanted to touch on a few things that I didn't know I was going to touch on today, but we'll get to it eventually. Actually, since we're on the topic of sports, let's go into it first, and then end up with the side that your expertise, right? And like I guess, what would you call that? Because I keep wanting to say physio, but it's like recovery.
Yeah, I call it rehab to performance,
Okay.
because it doesn't matter whether you're an athlete or whether you're just a desk jockey or anything, because it encompasses everything. Rehab is how you move. It's quality of movement, right? To performance is being able to be at the top of your game. So it encompasses everyone. It's not just, I only work with athletes, right? It really encompasses everyone, regardless of whether you're injured or not, because rehab deals with more than just injuries. It's quality of movement. Do you move well? And those are the little check engine lights that, those little warning signs, the little niggles, my back's a little bit stiff. That's a warning sign that something imminent may happen. And there is no real proof of it, but I like to think that if we catch things before they get bad, you help. It's the good old, why do you take your car in every 5,000 kilometers? Why do you do yearly maintenance on your house? Because theoretically, you can catch things, and you can hopefully make it last longer. It doesn't stop everything, and sometimes you miss things, but it's the same in health and wellness, is trying to catch things before they become problematic.
Yeah, I never thought of it like that, because usually, me, it's okay. I pulled something, something's out of place. That's when I'd go to physio or chiro to get cranked back into place, or just take a week or two off, and then it eventually feels better, but doesn't mean it's fixed, right? That's awesome. I'll have to keep that in mind then, because massaging is something I started to do too. So
there's value in all therapies, and I use the analogy is when I talk to patients is like, when you're cutting vegetables in your kitchen making dinner and you cut your finger and you look at it and you go, I can put a Band-Aid on that. You probably don't need professional help to put a Band-Aid on it, right? But if you cut your finger and you go, oh, shoot, you might need stitches, right? You could probably stitch it yourself, but there you're probably looking at professional help. And these are these little things that, that's part of my job is being able to help people when they have problems. But my thing is going back to the preventive measure is like, what can we do to prevent this? How can we make this safer? How can we make this better so it doesn't happen? And that's part of what I do with sports organizations as well as with anyone.
Oh, that's awesome. Okay, so touching on sports, like organizations, you mentioned you're you're in Langley, right? So that's awesome, helping local community sports. What sports organizations do you work with?
So right now, I'm the team doctor for the Langley Rams Junior Football Club. I'm also working with the Langley Trappers Junior B hockey team. My involvement with them, a little bit of a story with them. When I started working in Langley, I was working at a clinic as an independent contractor, and the Rams approached me and said, "Hey, we're looking for someone to help. Are you interested?" I said, "Yeah, I love football. I'm more than willing to help." So I sort of got thrown into, what am I doing here? Am I treating players? Am I taping players? Am I supposed to run on the field when someone's hurt? I have no idea what I'm doing. And you'll figure it all out. So my first year, I probably spent almost 500 hours with the team, including travel and being at practices and all games. I was by myself, and it was a daunting task. It actually took a little bit of a toll on the family because of all the hours, but I had a lot of fun. I enjoyed it, and I realized that here's an opportunity that I can give and mentor students to help to take the pressure off me so I can do stuff. So I built up a program for some of these organizations where I have an army of students and senior therapists like myself overseeing things that have taken the pressure off of me and allowed me to be involved with more than one sports organization. So, but those are the two organizations that I sort of have started with, and I've grown with those organizations. organizations, and both organizations have been successful. 2021, the Langley Rams won the national championship for the first time in their history, and last
Because
year,
of you.
well, I'd like to
joking.
think I'm a piece of. It's funny because it's a machine, right?
Yeah,
like you
no,
need
for
all the
sure,
parts
yeah.
of the machine to work. You need a good coaching staff, you need a solid player core, you need good leadership, you need good administration, but you also need the behind the scenes people, right? And that's part of my favorite part. Is like my joke is I don't carry a football, I don't score any goals in hockey, right? But I still get a championship ring at the end of it. And the best part is I don't get hurt as much as the players.
Yeah,
so.
yeah. Show it off for the camera real quick. I saw that. It's huge.
Yeah,
That's nice.
so this is from the junior hockey team
that's
last year. So this is the 𝐏𝐸𝐴 Taylor Cup. Basically, the junior hockey team, they play in the Pacific Junior Hockey League. There's 13 teams, I think 14 teams coming up next year. So the Trappers won their league last year, and then they played all of the other leagues in BC for the 𝐏𝐸𝐴 Taylor Cup, and they won that last year too. So it was a very successful season. It was a lot of fun to be a part of. They are just wrapping up their regular season, and they finished as regular season champs again this year. So they're going into the playoffs. In a good spot, so I'm hoping to get another one of these this year.
That's awesome.
So.
Yeah, well, like you said, behind the scenes stuff that people don't usually see. But being in sports and hearing a lot about how professional athletes invest their money, they spend a large portion of that on themselves.
Yep.
Like the successful. I was just listening to what was I listening to yesterday? It was a podcast, or was it an audio? Talking about NBA player, it was maybe a podcast. I think it's Walt Chamberlain. I don't know, but it was a successful basketball player, and he said that the reason why he played till he was 45 is because he was getting 3 massages a day, right? Whether it was game day or not, right? So he was massages, physio, like every single day, not when he needed it, not after games, not before games. It was every single day, and because of that, he was able to have a career that was 20 plus years longer than the majority of, like, some players could hardly make it 5 because they don't take care of their bodies, right? So that's just how important it is, because if it wasn't for that, if they didn't have that team behind them, he would have never broken all the records that he's broken.
And right? This is what I bring to organizations is it's that competitive advantage, and I talk to players, professional and junior, that you have to spend a little bit more time and take a little bit better care of yourself. Like, these athletes are like Ferraris. Ferraris need to be finely tuned, right? And if you have a good driver in a Ferrari, they can tell when something's not right. They can tell if a cylinder's off, or it's just not firing right, or the wheels are pulling. And it's the same with athletes too. If you're thinking about your shoulder being sore when playing basketball, you're not thinking about basketball, right? And that's part of my job is, hey, let me deal with the problems so you can just do your job as an athlete playing whatever sport you're playing. I was just working with Team BC, who's playing at the 𝐏𝐸𝐴𝐴𝐻. I believe they start today or tomorrow. And just dealing with little things, just some hip pains, shoulder pains, and stuff like that, just to give them a little bit of an advantage. So, and I told them, like, I just want you guys thinking about curling for the 𝐏𝐸𝐴𝐴𝐻. I want you guys to be Team Canada.
Yeah, I saw that video.
Yeah, I want you guys to go to the Worlds, right? And my contribution and all I can do is just make sure you're as healthy as possible. So all you do is throw rocks. You don't think about being sore. You don't think about anything else other than your job as a curler, right? And it goes to any sport. And I think you're right. Like, these athletes that are really good invest time, effort, and money into being the best they possibly can, because the reality is, if you are a professional athlete, your job is just to perform. Like, you don't want to be thinking about what you're going to have for dinner. You don't want to be thinking about sore ankle or a knee that's bugging you a little bit. Like, anything that affects performance really is a detriment, right? And part of my goal for health and overall wellness is take out some of those tiny little things. For athletes, I talk about nominal gains. The 1% means very little to you and me. But when you're an athlete, 1% is the difference between a gold medal and not being on a podium, right? And that's part of, again, where I come in when I talk to these athletes, is that's what I want to do for you guys.
Yeah, that makes a lot of sense. I mean, and you're saying it's important for athletes, but at the same time, right, regular people like me, who have regular jobs, also need their bodies to work, right? But I guess there's not as much of a perceived value on, your mental or physical health when you have a regular job, because you don't need it like the second. It's not, as, like you said, as a big of an issue, but it is important, because if you get hurt and you can't go to work, like, that's taking food off the table for your family.
Yeah, exactly. And I mean, even for yourself, if your back is sore, right, and you have to go to meetings and stuff like that, it's a detriment, because now you're thinking about back pain rather than thinking about nailing a presentation or, being at a showing and being at your best, right? It does deter performance. Now, does it matter in the grand scheme of things if you're selling a house or you're doing something or other else? Maybe not as much,
if you're
right?
trying to open the door,
but
and it
still,
hurts.
yeah, right.
Can't
Like
open the
there's,
door.
and this is where maybe less than professional athletes, maybe there's less value. It's all perception, you know. Some people don't mind being in a little bit of pain, and I'm fine with that too, right? But if you value like, no, I want to be as healthy as possible, that's where I can help too. So
Yeah, I mean, it's like, for example, like right now, like we were talking, I recently went to the gym, hurt myself, and now my neck, like I can't really turn my neck here or there. I pinched my neck. So like, I was going to ask you about neck pain, specifically to the type of work that everyone does now on their computers, right? Office work. I mean, there's, different industries, but specifically because I'm in this industry, on my computer all day, on my phone all day, I'm getting a lot of neck pain and shoulder pain. What are some things that people could do that are, to avoid that, to be prepped in case, like for maintenance purposes?
Yeah, that's a great question. Let me start with, like, there's this little bit of myth with posture. Like, if I was to say, Dan, show me good posture, what would you do?
Be like,
Okay, so now if I was to say, I want you to sit like that for the next 5 minutes, can you already tell things are starting to get a little tight, like a little sore? Probably neck doesn't really feel comfortable. So then I always ask, and I push back at patients, well, if that's good posture, then why aren't you comfortable, right? Can you sit like that for an hour? And people go, so this good posture is a little bit of a unicorn, right? Really, the definition of good posture is any position you're not in for a long period of time, right? So it's movement, and that's what we're designed to do as humans. We're designed to move, right? So, what are the 3 stretches I could give you that'll help alleviate neck pain? It doesn't really matter what the stretches are as long as you're moving, right? So it's just getting people up and moving. We have all this technology that, these smart watches and stuff that go off every half hour or an hour. Hey, you need to stand up and move. These are these little things that contribute to the bigger picture of overall health, and that's where I'm an advocate. Like, it doesn't really matter. I can give you 3 exercises. You can stretch your neck to the side, stretch your neck here, look up and down, do that for 3 minutes every hour. It'll help. But part of it, I like keeping things simple. Like, what do you like doing? Like, you like playing soccer, you like going to the gym, right? If this neck pain is not terribly detrimental, maybe going to the gym might actually be a benefit to you, right? Without aggravating the neck. Going out for a walk, taking the dog for a walk, going and playing with the kids, making sure you're just not stuck on the couch or stuck sitting in a chair staring at a computer screen for 2 or 3 hours. That's what's going to help your neck pain, is getting out of those positions. And that's sort of what I advocate for all patients.
Yeah,
what do you like doing? It's got to be something you like doing, because if I give you stuff that you don't like doing, you're not going to do it. And I used to do that earlier on in my career. Like, I could give you the 5 best stretches that'll alleviate low back pain. And if you just don't want to do it, you're not going to do it.
Yeah.
So
I know some, because I've been to physio so many times for neck and shoulder and pain. And it's like, go against the wall. I know that. Go against the wall, put your arms sideways, 90 degree, move them up and down. Since that, this has been the last time I did it, right? Like, I did it when they showed it to me, and I just did it now, almost, right? So you hardly do it because it's, I don't want to do that.
Yeah.
It takes
it's got to be integrated. It's got to be integrated into everything you do daily, or it's got to be like a reminder. It's got to be simple. And this is what I've learned with people, as I like keeping things simple. Like, I push anyone from athletes to just a general population is tell me what you want to do, and that's where I'll get you to, right? If you want to put in the hours to make your back pain go away, I will help you, and I will give you the best exercises possible. But if you're not going to do them, let's just start with a 5-minute walk a day, and can you commit 5 minutes to me? Because if you can't, then just come in every day and I'll take your money and I'll work on you every day, because I can do it. We can do it passively, but if you want to be involved, the more involved you are, the less time you're going to have to spend with me.
Right.
And that's sort of the push that I have, and that's, again, encompasses that whole rehab to performance, right? It's what you want it to be, and that's same thing with your industry too, right? Is it's customer service. It's giving, for me, it's giving patients what they want or what they perceive, not what I want them to do, right? I can't say, Dan, I want you to do these exercises, because you're going to forget. You're going to walk out. You're going to be distracted by kids and work and phone calls and all that sort of stuff, right? I find it's my job to keep it as simple as possible for people, to allow them the opportunity to do it.
And now you're also invested emotionally. Like, hey, I told you to do it. Why didn't you?
Yeah, and it's options too. Is that, hey, if you're not going to do it, then just come in and see me more.
Yeah, exactly. So somebody who's sitting at a desk, right? How often should they move? Because I have a sit-stand desk, and my ADHD kicks in. So I'm standing for 10. Then I'm like, nope, sit down for like 5. Then I'm like, nope, stand up. Okay, I'm standing up for like 20. Now I'm like, okay, my hips, I can't lean on one side too much because now it's starting to hurt. Back down. So this movement up and down, at first I'm like, oh, why am I wasting this time? Just pick a spot, deal with it. how often should you move? Like, just so I know.
It's a great question. It's variable, and I like what you just told me. You're doing a lot of movement, and I think this helps to keep your joints and your back and your neck and all of this stuff healthy. You say that you're a little ADHD. I think we take advantage of the fact that you constantly move. How do we make it easier for you to do your job while you're moving? Is there things that you can do where you're on your phone, where you're moving back and forth, sending messages and emails and stuff like that? Like, that's a good way to keep your back healthy, and you don't even have to think about it because you're doing two things at once. You're working and you're moving, right? There's no formula for like, well, you should stand up. I mean, I don't know. Theoretically, your watch tells you got to stand up, for 1 minute every hour. Is it good enough? Probably not, but it's better than nothing. And what it does do is it avoids people from sitting for 4, 5, 6 hours when they get wrapped up in either work or video games or whatever it is. Like, hey, you know what? You got to get moving. But the reality is how do we make it easy for you, the patient, right? And that's sort of where I see my job is. Maybe this is where I think a little bit differently than some of the other practitioners. I've learned over years and years because, again, when I was younger, I used to want you to do all of the stuff that was going to help you, right? But if you weren't invested and you didn't really like what I gave you, you weren't going to do it. And this is where I've learned and evolved over years is you tell me what you want, and that's where I'll get you to.
Okay. Yeah, that makes a lot of sense. Something I've been doing recently is, again, podcasts in the gym, right? And one of the things, I think it was in a podcast, but in the gym, they said if you're working 8 hours or 6 to 8 hours sitting down, you should be having a workout that's like working out for at least 1 to 2 hours a day, because otherwise the 30-minute treadmill walk is not enough to, like you said, going back to where we came from. Our bodies aren't meant to only be doing that. So to be in shape, I guess I would ask is how much would you say for somebody who's an office job who needs, what kind of exercise regime do they need to be to stay in shape?
It's good. I think I frustrate some people because I don't have any specific answers, but really what it comes down to is what are your goals? And like I deal with, again, everything from general population to athletes. And some general population, it's hard. They want to lose weight. They want to feel better. And they're just not motivated. So we have to find these little things. And this is where I found building routines with people. Give me 10 minutes a day. Can you go on a walk for 10 minutes a day? Because you're not going to lose weight going on a walk for 10 minutes a day. But if you can prove to me that you can do 6 days a week, that's an hour a week. That's pretty good, right? If you can do an hour a week, now let's do 15 minutes a day, right? Now let's do 20 minutes. Now let's start to do an hour 4 days a week, right? And let's take a few days off so you can have some rest. And we build it up and scaffold it that way. It makes it manageable because I think sometimes when you throw like, oh, well, you need to work out for 1 to 2 hours, it's daunting. And people will do it for a couple of weeks, but they fall out of the routine because all of the other things that pull out the work and family and sports and everything else that pulls at you. For me, I probably wouldn't play basketball as much if the gym wasn't right behind my clinic. I wouldn't rent out the court, right? Like I probably wouldn't join a league unless someone begged me to join a league, right? But this is how I integrate 2 days a week of cardio into my schedules. I like playing basketball. I want to play with friends. I don't want to be super competitive. I want it to be fun, and that's my fitness, and that's my fun too, right? It's not work, right? Yeah. It's not I have to play basketball again tonight. I'm stoked at 9 o'clock at night to get done, strap on the shoes, and go run around with friends. So I guess going back to is what I've learned is you have to give people enough and make it a routine. And
routine's the most important.
Yeah, I'll even share because it's good to see that I'm not perfect. Through COVID, running a business was difficult. I'm sure for everyone, and I was going through my struggles too. I had lost weight, a fair bit of weight, because I wasn't eating healthy enough, and I wasn't eating enough at all. I was so busy with meetings and trying to keep the clinic on track, which fortunately I have been able to do, that I had a patient I hadn't seen in 10 years. I used to do personal training with him, and he hasn't seen me as a chiropractor, and him and his family are living in town, and he looked me up during COVID, and he came and saw me. And the first thing he said to me is, "Mark, you look awful. You used to have massive biceps and huge quads. What happened to you?" And I said, "Well, bud, I don't have a lot of time right now. I've got a business, and it's hard keeping everything, balancing family and working with sports teams and stuff. I don't have a lot of time." He said, "You don't have a lot of time to eat?" "Yeah, I don't have a lot of time to eat." So, okay. And then I showed him my facility, and you'll have to come up check my facility one day, because I got 1,500 square feet of gym space with a fair bit of equipment, benches and sleds and all that sort of stuff. So I showed him that. I said, "Oh, Mark, you are so lucky. I can't believe that you have 1,500 square feet and all this gym equipment when all the gyms are shut down during COVID. Like, you must work out all the time." I said, "Buddy, I don't have time to work out." "Okay, so you're telling me you don't have time to work out and you don't have time to eat. He's like, you got something seriously wrong with your schedule. He says, you're a doctor. If you're going to try to get people to be healthy, you can't do what you're doing. You can't advocate for people to be healthy looking like you look and doing what you do. And it was really a kick in the pants to me. It sort of hit me pretty hard. And I thought a lot about it, and like, he's right. Like, if I can't carve out time, I can't ask people to carve out time. And so I started to do that. I said, tell you what, we weren't supposed to during COVID, but we did anyways. It's like, you know what, let's meet up, and you can use my facility. I'll use you as motivation, and you use me as motivation. You show up at my clinic at 9:30, because that's what I was working. That's the only time I had to work out, 9:30 twice a week, and once on the weekend. And the lights have to go out at 10:05. Like, we just do a workout, get in and out, 30 minutes, and that's it. It's done. He said, good. So we agreed, and sadly he fell off the wagon in a few weeks due to family and work commitments. But I was able to stay on everything, and quickly within a few weeks I found half hour 3 times a week wasn't enough. So my plan was to do 6 days a week, half hour a day. And I did, and I was going to take Sundays off, but November, December was so miserable during COVID with wind and rain and snow that I asked my kids, who were terrorizing the house, I said, do you guys want to go to my gym and play in the gym while I work out? You know, I have 1,500 square feet, and it was so much fun, Dan. My kids set up, the floor is lava, they set up obstacle courses, they played, I played with them, and then I got a workout in, and it was awesome. So basically, since October 2020, I have done almost 850 days in a row of 30 minutes or more of exercise. And exercise looks different. Some days I don't get to a crazy workout. My typical goal is I need to have my heart rate over 120 for 30 minutes a day. I mean, there's been days that I've been sick and had a bad headache, and you know what? I can only piece together 10 minutes at a time, but I just do a brisk walk, go lie down for an hour or two, and then go and do another brisk walk, and then have dinner and wait and do one more brisk walk for 10 minutes a day, and there's my 30 minutes.
Wow.
And that's how I advocate for people now, right? Is like, how do you be healthier? You know, I say to people, if you can't give me a specific amount of time, I can do it. Running a business, having a family, working with a number of sports organizations, I can't take too many excuses.
Breaking it down like that makes a lot of sense. Yeah. And you know what? Like, I've recently also heard that's the best way to go. Like, you don't want to push it all to extremes, because that's how you fall off. It's like fad dieting, same thing as working out, you know, in spurts like that. You burn yourself out. Same with working in spurts like that. If you aren't currently like putting more hours in at work, you have to start little, and then eventually you become more productive and whatnot. So like, but then you also have to understand, though, if you fall off that, it's not like an excuse to stop doing it completely, because that's something that for me was a huge barrier. I'd always do these fitness challenges, and okay, I'm going all out, like the 75 hard. So I did the 75 hard like 3 times.
Good for you. Wow.
Didn't get through it 3 times, but you know, it's like every time I was like a month, 2 months, 2 weeks, just something would come up. But then the thing is, after I'd lose the challenge, right, would fail, I guess, I'd take like a week or 2 off, because I was so like, oh, I failed, you know, like that was what I had to do. And now it's like, what's the point, right? But now it's like more about consistency. Now it's like, maybe I'll go to the gym once or twice a week, but then the other weeks I'll go 5 times a week when I'm feeling good. But then the two times a week versus the 5 times a week, I still feel the same. Like, I still feel like I'm not letting myself down or anything. So the mentality switch definitely helps.
Yeah.
Right? You can't be perfect every time, like you said.
Yeah. No, and I think this is it too. When I work with, again, anyone from general population to athletes, is some people look at it as failure. Oh, hey, I didn't accomplish what I was supposed to accomplish. But I just look at it as a learning opportunity. Let's evaluate why you didn't accomplish. What got in the way? You know, was 30 minutes a day too much? Or, you know, for you, was 75 minutes a day too much, right? Mm-hmm. Was it too high intensity? Like, what were the problems, and what can we change to make this more achievable? Let's move the goalpost, right? Let's just make it easier. It's not failure. It's learning. It's learning from your mistakes and moving on from that. Like, how do we make this more achievable? Mm-hmm. And it's crazy, because I mean, even some patients, I just advocate for, like, walk the dog. You have to walk the dog anyways. Mm-hmm. Just walk the dog. And there's walk the dog and see if you can get your heart rate to 120. And it's that simple, right?
Yeah, when you break it down like that, it makes a lot of sense.
Yeah.
So, Dr. Mark, you're living in Langley, you're working in Langley. A lot of people have this question in Langley. They have their businesses. What type of marketing are you doing that's working in Langley, or what have you seen that's worked recently that you're doing that you weren't doing before?
Well, it's a really good question, Dan. I believe in having professional people do professional things, right? It's hard to be the one person doing everything, and I'm a chiropractor. I'm a doctor. I realize I'm not good at marketing. I'm not good at business, and I've surrounded myself with people that are much better than I am at that, so that I can do my job as a chiropractor, so I can work with other organizations. From the marketing end of things, funny story is when I started my clinic, I was subleasing out of a small space, just a few rooms, out of a gym, and had this lovely young lady come walk by me and say, "Hey, let me know if you need a hand with marketing, because I got rid of a few clients and I'm looking to take people on. If you're interested, just let me know." I said, "Oh no, it's okay. I do it all myself." And she said, "Yeah, I know, I can tell." And then she went in for her workout. I said, "Wait a minute, did she just diss me? Did she just diss like what I was doing for marketing?" And so she was walking back. I was, "Hey, excuse me, ma'am. Tell me how you know I'm doing my own marketing." She says, "Well, I checked out your Facebook and your website, and you did this and that, and this was good, but then you didn't post anything again for 2 weeks, right?" And she says, "You know that all of these social media companies, if you don't do anything that's good quality, they sort of just drop you to the bottom, and they don't give you too many views, right? So if you're doing good stuff, you have to keep on doing good stuff." I was like, "Oh, okay." So she said, "Meet with me, and I'll run you through some stuff." And we sort of moved on from that, and we agreed onto a short-term contract for 4 months. And basically, her thing was she was going to take over all of my marketing. She was going to get content from me. She was going to work with me to gather enjoyable, engaging content, because just like real estate, chiropractic is not really entertaining. It's not.
It's funny you say that, because I say that about real estate, but when you say it about chiropractic like services, I think it's the opposite. Like, there's so many interesting things about what you do that obviously probably vice versa. You're like, no, real estate, there's things I don't know too, right?
Yeah.
Everyone thinks like that.
Yeah, it's funny with the different industries. I know people are trying to get me to go into doing some of these cracking videos and post them on YouTube, and I just haven't been able to.
The cracking.
Yeah, to break it down yet.
But
when we met, we agreed to a 4-month term. We went through the term, and just before I was going to do my exit interview with her, because her plan was to give me the keys. She said, "Hey, it's going to be yours. I will provide you with any advice for free after this, but I'm going to set you up for success, and it's going to be yours to handle." Well, I was walking around Willowbrook Mall with my Rebound jacket, and I had this lady come up to me and say, "Oh, you're Dr. Marks?" Yeah, I am. She said, "Oh, I follow you on Instagram, and I loved your post on something." Well, wow, someone recognized me from Instagram. I really felt famous. But I realized there was value in what she was doing for marketing. And even funny, last year I broke my wrist playing basketball. And I was in getting x-rays, and I said to the x-ray tech, I said, "Hey, can you do me a favor? Can you make sure you get a good picture of my scaphoid, because I'm a little nervous that I might have broken a scaphoid, which is a really important bone in your wrist." And she looked at me, she says, "How do you know what a scaphoid is?" And I said, "Well, I run a sports clinic." She goes, "Oh, I know who you are." I said, "Really?" She says, "Yeah, I follow you on Instagram." So again, I don't know that either of these people I'm talking about have ever been patients, but it makes me realize that what we do, people see and people enjoy. They enjoy seeing me. I was just out with the junior hockey team skating last night, and we got some video and some footage of me skating with the team, and it's hilarious. And people like that, and we find that that's more engaging. We get a lot of reaction, especially with teams being successful. People see our stuff, people see our involvement, and go, "Yeah, I remember that guy." And then hopefully, when their back hurts or their neck hurts or something happens, like, "Oh, what was that guy? Oh yeah, I remember seeing him with the junior football team or the hockey team or whatever it is." And that's hopefully when we get the call.
Yeah, I mean, and you mix it up, right? At the end of the day, like, if you only put out educational, content, it gets boring.
Yeah.
Like even if I'm fascinated about what you do, if you start doing something different, then I'm used to, you in this scenario. Now it's like, whoa, what's this? So you're like changing it up on them.
Yeah.
That's why I always tell people, it's like, don't just post one thing.
Yeah.
Bring your family life into it here and there, like your personal life, to highlight your personality, not just what you do for work.
Yeah.
Right. So that's awesome. That's a really good approach that you guys have.
Yeah.
And what about for print? Do you have anything that you do, or is it strictly social media?
No. I mean, we have print stuff too. I surround myself with people that that know more and do more than what I do in the marketing world. I actually, I don't mind sending a little plug. 𝐏𝐻𝐡𝐨𝐴 from the UPS store in Walnut Grove. She is awesome. She does anything print, all my business cards. She's printed event tents for me that I take to football games and all of these events. Like, I rely on her and my media people to coordinate all of the print stuff for me. I say, "Hey, what do we need for patient education stuff? What do we need to promote the clinic? What can we take to these events that we go to that we can give people?" And I sort of leave that in their court because that's their domain, right? And I believe in having professional people do professional things so that I can do my job. My profession is chiropractic, sports, injury.
And you do a lot of events then, too.
We try to, yeah. I mean,
That's cool.
again, that's what I think, being involved in the community, I think it's really important. It's something that I'm passionate about, giving back to the community, being involved in sports. Part of where I've learned in my niche with sports is that with all these organizations that I work with, I mean, another funny story, I've affiliated with the North Langley Football Association, and my kids are playing for the first time. They're old enough this spring. But I was working with the junior football team, and I joke that there was a grumpy old man that came over to me and said, "Who's in charge here?" And I sort of ducked my head and, "Oh man, are we in trouble?" Yes, sir, I'm in charge. "Well, what do you do here?" I'm the team doctor, and I take care of all the health and taping and all that stuff. So, "Do you get paid?" "Sir, I don't think I really want to discuss this with you. Like, who are you and what do you want?" "Well, I'm the coach of the under 18 North Langley football team, and I don't want anything to do with training. All I want to do is coach. Can you help me?" And I said to him, I was like, "Yeah, sure, but it's going to cost money." And he said, "Well, give me whatever your budget is, and I'll take it to the president." So I gave him a budget, and I thought I'd never hear from him again. Well, the president of the association called me the next day and said, I hear you want to work with the U18 football team." Yeah. He said, "Sure, yeah, we'll approve your budget. Go ahead." And next thing I know, I'm working with 2 teams. Luckily, I had students that helped me out. But I go back to that as an example of that coach, because him and I still get on, having a professional do professional things so he can coach. He didn't have to worry about anything. He just said, "Mark, who's injured? Who can play?" I gave him the injury list, and I gave him the roster, and he just coached. And my tagline for all of these organizations is coaches should coach, parents should parents, players should play, administrators should administrate, and you should probably have someone making medical decisions.
Yeah, that's
right?
qualified.
You don't want a coach making medical decisions. You don't want a parent making medical decisions. You don't want an administrator making medical decisions. And we've run into this issue with certain sports organizations too, where you have your star player who may or may not have a concussion that the coach sends back out because that's your star player and the coach is competitive. That's conflict of interest, right? And now I can stand right in the way. Or sometimes it comes down to parents too, where it's like, "No, I want my kid to play this weekend. It's a really important tournament. There's going to be scouts there." If you got a coach that doesn't know whether the player can or can't play, doesn't know what to do, maybe they play, and maybe it affects their potential career. But this is where, as someone in the health field, I can stand between a parent and a coach and just say, "No, you can ignore my opinion if you want, but then why do you have me here? And if you don't want to have me here, I'll go work with another organization." So that's where I find the efficiency in doing things. And again, this is sort of encompassing everything from marketing to,
Well, it's something that side of things right there is a huge lesson to even younger, because when you're a youth ages, sports teams don't usually have that, right? They don't think to have something like that. And now, luckily, because of the exposure to this consequence of concussions and other injuries, especially in football, right now people are taking it a bit more serious, and luckily they are having it at those ages where they're old enough to hit hard, but and it could change their life, one of those hits, right?
Yeah. So let's talk a little bit about concussion, because it's something that it's my background. And again, starting with the junior football team, give you a little bit of insight, is there were kids in my first year coming off the field that I knew had concussion. I myself have had about 6 concussions, and I knew they had concussions. They looked like they had concussions. Things just didn't seem right. And the coach came over to me and said, "What's wrong with them?" I said, "Well, I think they have a concussion." I said, "Okay, well, what are you going to do about it?" I said, "I'm not sure." "Well, how long are they going to be out?" I don't know. He said, "Well, aren't you the doctor? Shouldn't you know this stuff?" And I remember thinking, like, man, like, he's right. Like, I can't make decisions without knowing what to do. So I went and took over. Right now, I've had over 500 hours of education in concussion. I am right at the top and leading edge of all the research in concussion, because it's really important for me, for people not to go through what I went through with concussion. My last concussion I had was 2008, just playing rec basketball, and it wasn't even a serious hit. I got hit awkwardly, and it put me back for about 6 months. Knowing what I know now, if I treated myself back in 2008, I should have been better in a month or less. But I did everything wrong because I didn't have they didn't know as much about concussion back in 2008, and I didn't have any support. I just struggled through it all on my own. And this is where I advocate for parents, because, I mean, I've been on the field, I've seen hits, and I have a hard time determining whether a person has a concussion or not. I can't even imagine what a parent sees or thinks, right? Concussion's a hard thing to diagnose. And then the new rules are, and this is what I tell the parents, you have one or you don't. There's no, oh, it's just a mild concussion, we'll just hold them out for a week, we don't need to take them to the hospital, or, oh, it's a major concussion. Like, you have one or you don't. And if you're not sure, then you have one until it's ruled out, and that's where I step in.
Mm-hmm.
So
yeah, I remember like I've had multiple seen stars playing rugby, playing basketball. Back to school the next day, next practice, you're there. Like, not football, but it's still like, I don't know.
Yeah.
And then now that I recently had one, I think it took 2 months before even going back to the gym, which I was doing some walking and stuff before that, so I wouldn't get some movement, so I wouldn't get stiff. But other than that, it was night and day compared to what I used to do growing up.
Yeah, it's very different, and I think too, having protocols and sort of goals or standards that you can go through. And this is what I'd like. I won't return someone back unless it's safe. Like, all the research shows that on average, and this is quite shocking, most concussions will recover in about 30 days. And it's crazy because there is no severity. I mean, I've seen kids get knocked out and they recover in roughly 30 days, and I've seen kids with what some people would be considered mild concussions. Again, we don't call them mild concussions, but sort of a hit that makes you go, oh, it doesn't look too bad, and it's still roughly 30 days. Where we run into issues, and this is where I push parents and organizations, is if you get a second impact, so you don't recover from your first concussion and you get a second impact, the recovery time is somewhere between 120 to 180 days. And you may be more prone to long-term issues, right? And where they had issues in the NFL and the NHL back in the day, or different sports leagues back in the day, is they didn't have any protocols they were putting people through. So they were sending people back that were getting numerous concussions. And I equate it to, if you broke your leg, like, you can break your leg and go back to running again, but you're not going back to running in 2 weeks, right? You're going through a full protocol, 4 to 6 weeks in a cast, doing probably another 4 to 6 weeks of rehab, scaling up running until you get back to your regular running routine. It's normal to do something or other like that. Concussions are hard because there's no scans. There's nothing that you can do that says, aha, you are fully recovered, you're ready to go back. So you have to rely on people's educations and backgrounds to return people safely. Now, the good news is, once you've returned safely, and I am case in point, I've recovered through 6 concussions or however many I've had with no apparent long-term effects. My wife might tell you otherwise, but I don't, I've graduated with 2 degrees. I had honors in 2 degrees. So fortunately, it doesn't appear that I have any long-term issues. Once you recover from one concussion, a subsequent concussion is considered an independent event and should take roughly the same amount of time to recover. So the key is recovery. You can have more than one concussion. The key is recovery and not having subsequent concussions back to back to back. And that's sort of, again, where I step in, and I have these protocols that I put people through. And that's the nice part in the clinic, is when you come into the clinic, if you don't pass my protocol, it doesn't matter if you have an important tournament this weekend or there's scouts there or whatever the parents want you to do. Like, I just don't think you should play this weekend because you're not recovered. There's consequences. There's potential long-term consequences.
So you would be able to take someone on, and like, someone gets hurt on the field right now, they'd be able to come to your clinic.
Yeah.
Where can they find you? Let them know, because then they can come check you out as I'm getting this ready, because we're running short on time. So I'm going to get the salads out. Yeah,
so my clinic is in North Langley. It's right behind the movie theater there. It's Unit 170, 9347 200A Street, right by Smuggler's Trail. We do everything from physiotherapy. We have a 1,500 square foot gym, and we're starting to do some sports and fitness related stuff and some boot camps. We have kinesiologists. We have a great staff there. You can check us out online. It's www.reboundclinic.ca. We do direct billing. We have late appointments. We're open on weekends. We do everything we can to make things as easy as possible for patients. So if you have anything from concussion to back pain, sports performance, or anything, feel free to come check us out.
Awesome. Yeah, don't mind me. This looks delicious.
It looks phenomenal.
So this is from Pink Avo.
Ooh,
this one's from Pink Avo.
Love Pink Avo.
You go there a lot?
Yeah.
I went there for the first time Valentine's Day.
Yeah.
Didn't get time to eat anything, just grabbed a coffee. So good. And then I saw their menu, and I'm like, I got to come back here. So shout out to Pink Avo. This is the brat bowl. I think all they have there is pretty vegan, vegetarian friendly.
Yeah.
I didn't ask. I don't know if you are. But this is a Beyond bratwurst. So I guess like Beyond Meat sausage with avocado, of course, broccoli, and a bunch of sauces in here. And there's rice on the bottom.
It smells phenomenal.
Yeah, let's have a bite quick. Get a quick review on here. We also got some cookies, but I think we'll save that for the end. Yeah, so tell me what you think. This is also from Pink Avo. This is 𝐏𝐡𝐨𝐴 kombucha. Peach and
is
orange, the Bellini. It's really good.
Yeah,
Yeah. We were
really
talking
good.
about the benefits of kombucha in an episode before, and it's awesome what it does, and
Yeah.
people don't even know. It just tastes good for them.
No, this is awesome. Thank you so much, Dan. This is great. Yeah, Pink Avo is a hidden gem. There's so many hidden gems in Langley.
Okay, I'm just gonna get some sauce. Okay, so there's also vegetarian chicken fingers, I think.
Yeah, it's good.
What is that? This is making me This is the second episode we've done vegetarian, actually. Forgot about that. Yesterday, or last time I did vegetarian sandwich from Estrellas.
Yeah.
The one. We had 3, number 1. So this is unreal. What does it have? It has some sauces in there. It's very lemony. There's rice on the bottom. There's also some greens. There's the green, I don't know what these are, and I'm going to butcher it, so I'm not going to say it. Green beans, I think. That's what they are. You know, avocado, and then I think this is a radish. But it looks really pretty, like a flower.
Yeah,
so
it's
you
really
can
good.
Enjoy it while you eat. I wish what... Oh, yeah, there's squash or yam in here, too. The broccoli, I think it's raw, not cooked or anything. It's not boiled or anything, so that's nice and crunchy. I'm going to finish that. That looks like a really healthy lunch.
Yeah.
Gets you through the day without having to feel bloated or sleepy.
This is brilliant. Thank you so much.
No worries. So I like to do these, like I said, to promote local businesses, but also because we do this at lunchtime.
Yeah.
So talking about like maximizing your schedule, I hate that, if we do something like this, then I have to go to the office, then I have to have lunch at the office. Might as well kill 2 birds with 1 stone.
Absolutely. Efficiency. I love it.
Yeah. And then that way we have something to talk about as well at the end. So I'm glad we got to talk about all the things we did because, I wish we could have gone into depth into the concussion thing because that's super important for me. Just coming off of that myself and dealing with it and something that needs to be shared a lot more. Needs a lot of exposure. So, yeah, I would love to have you on again, maybe
Absolutely.
in the future. If you have anything new, we could have an episode specifically about concussions because
Absolutely.
I really, I guess, the importance of knowing all about that, especially right now. And, I don't, sports are great for kids to play, and I don't want that to suffer because, some bad experiences were had growing up. Like, even me now, having that latest injury, I have a kid, right, 10-month-old, and family's like, why are you still playing?
Mm-hmm.
And it's like, it's fine as long as you know how to treat it. If
Exactly.
you take your time, you're not in a rush, right? We're not competing. Even if we were competing for gold medal, it's still not worth your life at the end of the day because, like you said, serious problems come if you don't take care of it properly. So, yeah, thanks so much for hopping on today.
This has been great. Thank you.
I'm excited to do more together in the community, and we can talk about that after. But thanks again for tuning in. If you haven't already, subscribe. If you have any questions for Dr. Mark, like you said, reach out to him on Instagram or in the comments down below. We can pass that on to him in case he jumps on in the near future. And yeah, thanks again for hopping on. I really appreciate it.
Thanks, Dan. I really appreciate it.
Thanks so much, guys. I'll see you guys on the next one.